Hey everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into another Twilight Zone episode. This time it's Season 2, Episode 15, The Invaders. It came out January 26, 1961, and it's another episode I haven't seen before. But before we get started, let's jump into the comments section and see what you had to say about last week's episode. In last week's episode, The Whole Truth, the Cosmic Kid 2562 says, Irv, the other salesman, is played by Artie Johnson, who went on to star regularly on Laugh-In. Oh, I actually did watch that show, some of the reruns when I was a kid. Would be interesting to go back and actually look at what the episodes they were talking about. P. Sparks 3419 says, the lead actor, Jack Carson, was in the Oscar-winning film Mildred Pierce from the 1940s. Awesome actor. I'll have to check that out. I've actually never watched Mildred Pierce before. There's a lot of actual movies that I haven't watched back in the 30s and 40s, and it would be interesting to kind of go back and look at some of those masterpieces that some people consider, and maybe watch it for the channel as well. Enrique Meno 9963 says, Hi, Mind Maze. Love your covering Twilight Zone episodes. Will you do one for The Outer Limits? Also, fun fact, Stephen King's favorite 60s sci-fi show is The Outer Limits. I will be doing The Outer Limits at some point. I'm not sure exactly when I'll get to it. When I actually get less busy than I am now, I'll probably jump up and do more Twilight Zone episodes per season, per week, and possibly jump into The Outer Limits. I also talked about doing Amazing Stories as well. It's another show kind of like The Twilight Zone, but they typically have happier endings, and it's something that came out in the 80s and was revamped not too long ago, probably about 3 years ago or so, that had Steven Spielberg come back producing the show from the 1980s, and it only lasted one season. It's too bad they didn't keep going with the actual story and the show itself, but oh well, maybe they'll do another rendition of it sometime in the future. Tiny Barrio says, it's not a bad episode, but there are so many better. I'm honestly glad that there were multiple seasons of The Twilight Zone. Most new series today are pretty much canceled way too early. I do agree with that. There's a lot of good shows that actually pop up on Netflix that they just kind of discontinue after 2 or 3 seasons. I'm not sure why. There's a few that didn't get canceled, like Stranger Things, because it's been such a not cult, but I should say a pop phenomenon around the world when it comes to that show, and it actually brings in a lot of revenue for them as well as subscribers to tune in when they do have a new season. And I think they're on their last season, but yeah, I do agree. They do kill off a lot of good shows early on in their lives. Ben Rositas 8068 says, I wouldn't consider this a top episode, but definitely entertaining and enjoyable. Say Livingston, is that your name? It is my first name, actually. My mom and dad decided to give me the name Livingston because it was my mother's maiden name. My grandfather didn't have any sons, so it was kind of a way for them to pass the name down, and it became my first name. So Livingston it is. Have you any plans on watching the newer Twilight Zone? I think it came out in the mid-80s. They have many good ones. I do plan on visiting all of the Twilight Zone episodes in time. I mean, there's a lot of them ahead, and I only have so much time per week. I'm trying to vamp up and maybe do some more episodes and kind of get through the series a little quicker. But I'm enjoying the pace that we're going right now. One a week kind of gives you time to comment on the episodes and tell me what you think about it, and then it gives me time to actually go through and talk about what you want to talk about. But yeah, at some point I will get to it. I know there's some Twilight Zone episodes from the 80s. There's also early 2000s, and then there's like 2 seasons in the late 2000s and late 2010s. But I will get to it at some point, promise. Gene Everett 7855 says, the worst episode in whole series. Well, not counting season 4. Is that all of Season 4, or is there a particular episode in Season 4? Let me know, comment below. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. And let's jump into the episode and see what we're getting into.
The Twilight Zone. This is one of the out-of-the-way places.
And right off the bat.
This is a farmhouse. A house without electricity or gas. This is the woman who lives in the house. A strong, simple woman whose only problem up until this moment has been that of acquiring enough food to eat. A woman about to face terror coming at her from the Twilight Zone.
She looked up. He meant aliens. The Invaders is the name of the episode. I can only assume that's what we'll have. Look back in the past and wonder how simple life was back then, but in reality it probably was a lot tougher than what we have today, just because they had less bills doesn't mean they didn't have more to worry about, especially when you're just trying to survive and worrying about whether food will find its way on the table, whether it's from hunting or farming or trade. Do you not hear that, lady? It's a very foreign sound. It's getting louder. The heck is that? Whoa. Did they crash? So simplistic. I mean, we get what we understand to be a spaceship that just crash landed outside, and it was all shown in one shot with sound effects and a little burst of smoke and possibly dirt. But it conveyed so much in just the one shot. Must have been pretty loud. Okay, go outside. Take your time. She's definitely in no hurry. So what's making her go up there? There was no sound up there. Looks like she's about to sneeze. Whoa. Noise? Not a lot of speaking in this. The only person who's spoken so far is Rod Serling. That is a little UFO. Whoa. Huh? Definitely wouldn't put my face up to it. Okay, what do these guys look like? Footsteps. Okay. Oh, no. All right. Was that the only one on the ship? Whoa. Oh, doing something. But it is a defensive mechanism since she did kick the friend of his down to possibly his death. You remember that you knocked one down here. Where's the little guy at? Still no word spoken. What's that? Yeah, she likes to put her face up to things that she don't know what the hell they are. I was wondering what the heck those were. Did they infect her? She definitely didn't deserve this. I mean, she's a lonely woman out in the middle of nowhere. You'd think they'd give her a happy ending, you know? Uh-oh. This show's really running slower than the most of the episodes. I mean, it's okay, but they're just doing a lot of waiting and seeing and what's behind that door and who's over here and what's going on. The music reminds me a lot of like Hellraiser. The way they do the strings and the melodies. It's very like the first Hellraiser back in 1987. Ooh, oh! What a jerk. No, the light. Woman is not having a good day at all. The knife's gone. Oh. It's just definitely an easy role in terms of not having to remember any lines. Question is, how will it end? Will it be something along the lines of maybe the aliens are actual like Earthlings? This is like a bunch of giants on a other world, or I don't know. I always think of what is the twist. Whoop. Are these things attacking her? I feel bad for her. I mean, she didn't do anything to deserve this. Aliens, go to the jails. Go to death row and get those people. Not innocent people that don't do anything wrong. Uh-oh. Just got a hatchet. Watch out. You asked for it. What's that? Oh, it's the handle. Oh, no! Yeah, they're a hostile force. Definitely need to take care of them. Where'd it go? Nothing under there. Maybe look up. Under the sheets. You jerk. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Thing's got the knife. Don't kill her. Oh, she got it. Nice. Broke into the wrong house. Throw it in the fire. Could have just threw it in the fire instead of burning your box. Duh. Whoa. What happened? Come on out. Come on. This one seems smart. You better move on. Okay. Someone's...
Come in, Central Control. Gresham is dead. Incredible race of giants here.
Hey. I knew it.
Stay away. Stay away.
Well, they wouldn't have been so hostile if you weren't going around shooting and giving her welts. U.S. Air Force Space Probe. Oh, man. Kind of felt like that was going to be the case at the end of this episode. It's awesome when I can actually figure it out and it still be a bit of a surprise. Like, I had a feeling that they were probably a probe from Earth, because there's always that Twilight Zone twist.
The tiny beings from the tiny place called Earth, the Invaders, who found out that a one-way ticket to the stars beyond has the ultimate price tag. A bill stamped paid in full and to be found on file in the Twilight Zone.
I see. Well, that was the Invaders. I actually really enjoyed that episode. It was a little slow in the beginning. I mean, I didn't know what to really expect. You had Rod Serling do his narration like he usually does in the episode, starting with Season 2, actually being there in person. But when it came to the actual acting of the episode, Agnes Moorehead was the one who played the woman, and there was no other person that really spoke other than the astronaut who was in the Air Force capsule there at the end, and him basically calling out, going, "Don't come! Don't do it! This is not a cool planet." But, you know, when you look at the episode, they were the invaders. They were the ones that were breaking into her home and shooting her with whatever they were shooting her. Some with, like, maybe some stun thing or whatever. But they were the ones who were at fault. I mean, it's kind of the rule of the land. You just don't break into somebody's home. Knock on the front door. Say hello. How you doing? You know, kind of do the Close Encounter of the Third Kind thing and play some tunes. Something along those lines. You just don't break in and start going zap, 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 thinking, well, we should make friends with these people. Of course they're going to beat you up and want to kill them and get you out of the way and not have you to be an actual threat inside their home. That's stupid. But for the most part, I kind of knew where this episode was going. I called it out there in the very middle of the episode about what was actually going on. And I thought the actress did a wonderful job in portraying what would happen if somebody actually landed on your roof who was from a different world. I think she would probably go into survival mode and want to take them out. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to do the same. But, I mean, I think the Invaders just did a horrible job at trying to make first contact with somebody. So that was their screw up. Maybe go by the Starfleet rules in Star Trek and kind of go by, don't go into these habitats of people who are basically unevolved to the point where they would consider you a threat, regardless if you're there peacefully or not. But it makes you wonder, what would we do in a situation when aliens came to Earth and they were being friendly? I mean, would we take them as hostile right from the beginning? Would we be on guard? I would think we would probably be on guard. Not sure if we would actually fight them or want to do anything stupid like shoot missiles or try to destroy them, or if they actually came down, it was like Independence Day or any other alien movie out there like War of the Worlds. Would they want to take over and would we have to fight? Who knows? But it just makes you wonder, what would we do in those types of situations? This was Rod Serling's favorite episode from an outside writer. When Agnes Moorehead learned she had no dialogue in this episode, she initially refused to do it. Rod Serling and director Douglas Hayes convinced her otherwise. The tiny astronauts were finger puppets made of foam which took 2 hands to operate. 2 fingers worked the arms and 2 worked the legs. The acting of Agnes Moorehead in this mostly silent episode serves as an appropriate counterpoint to her performance as Leona Stevenson in the suspense radio play Sorry, Wrong Number, which is regarded as a classic of the medium in which she used only her voice. On this occasion, she had to use everything but her voice. As in other episodes, this one uses the United Planet Cruiser C-57D spacecraft from Forbidden Planet, both of which were produced by MGM. There's a lot that comes from Forbidden Planet for these Twilight Zone episodes. The sound just before the ramp of the spaceship lowers is the same sound the communicators on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. 1964 made to alert a call coming in. Well, many years later, miniature versions of the Silver Space Invaders were released as officially licensed Twilight Zone items. Oh, that's cool. 9th and final episode of The Twilight Zone, directed by Douglas Hayes. His name did come up a lot in the first 2 seasons, so it's too bad we won't be reading it anymore. The music of this episode was later reused in Alligator 1980. This is the only episode with only one person, Agnes Moorehead, who has no lines. The only spoken dialogue is by one of the seemingly unknown aliens who turns out to be human. At various times, the invader aliens emit a series of beeps. This is in fact Morse code. They seem to be purely for effect, however, as they don't convey any message relating to the plot, nor even anything intelligible. As an example, one sequence at around 11 minutes decodes literally to MA, a bunch of letters. Of course, these could still be intelligible messages obscured by various means, such as encryption with a simple cipher playing the recording of the Morse code backwards, etc. The name of one of the invaders is either Grissom or Grisham. Gus Grissom was one of the original Mercury 7 NASA astronauts and the command pilot of Gemini 3. He was killed in a fire in Apollo 1 during a pre-launch test on January 27, 1967, exactly 6 years after this episode originally aired. Interesting. Douglas Hayes voices one of the invaders. Oh, that was his voice. That was pretty cool that he actually had a final episode where he got to have a credit as an actor. So that's pretty cool. Well, that's it for this episode. Let me know, comment below what you thought of this episode, and next week I will go through and read your comments and see what you thought about it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue on this voyage to episode 156 of The Twilight Zone. And until next time, see you later.